And Jordan, if you want to let people in, you can.
All right, just
And
make sure to hit record, Paulson.
yeah, about to. Let's see. Hey everyone, welcome into day three. We are off to the races this morning. We've got a ton of content to cover on day three. If you're just watching in, and if this is your first day, first of all, where you been? Where you been? If it's your
Where
first
you
day,
been?
we got a lot of bone to pick with you because we're doing all this for you to move the needle in your business and ultimately help you get new customers. And if you don't know Matt Deseno just yet, he is someone who's been a pretty prominent figure, in my opinion, in our community and marketing in general, or especially around automations. And we're teaching the 10 different ways to get your 100 SaaS customers. Maybe you guys, some of you are at the 25 client mark and you're like, how do I move up? Maybe you have a SaaS model. Maybe you are running DBRs and you have a service model. Whatever it is, we went through some really, really creative ways yesterday. And really focused on four of them that was, do some extra depth. So we went into those three, four, and take a look at it. All you need is one to implement, and that'll move the needle. And we feel confident about that. And today is gonna be the day that brings it all together into a magnificent flow, if you ask me. And Matt, without any further ado, welcome back, man. We appreciate you taking the valuable time that you have, especially running like, I don't know, five, six companies at this point and family and newborn on the way. There's a lot happening. So we appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really do love it. And if this is your first time, you'll know Jordan posted the link over there. I've got Facebook open and super excited. Patrick, I see you here from Wisconsin. Great to have you. John, I see aloha. I don't know if that means you're in Hawaii, but I'm jealous. And excited to see everybody engaging on Facebook. So we got chat over there on Facebook. You're here with me live on Zoom. And if you're watching this in recording, I'm going to encourage you to make sure you've seen the other days. These do build upon each other. No doubt there's going to be nuggets today that you can take away and implement. I always want to bring that sort of stuff, but there was a sequence, there was intention to it. So there's some language, like if see me mention bridge today and you're like, I have no idea what bridge means, go back to day one, right? And so without further ado, this is what we're talking, the top 10 ways to get your first or next 100 subscribers. And I'm just going to, hopefully high level likes it. This is not for the mediocre many. Once again, we are looking at the elite. If you want to be getting over 100 subscribers, you want to be in a small segment of folks, get to walk across the stage, get to experience that financial freedom, a huge amount of leverage in this space where people, they pay you every single month. This is not for average. But as I said with day one, I don't want to discourage you. I'm telling you my story. Like I definitely in many areas am still working out of being part of the mediocre many, but I ask myself every day, why not me? Why can't I be elite? And I think it's a great place to start from. So I want to encourage you, like these are exceptional examples. These are the elite, but we want to learn from them. I say to myself, why not me? Day one, just a recap. We went through these things. You're going to want to go back and check that out yesterday. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. It was robust. All of the elite acquisition engines, and I tried to highlight a few that I thought were easily accessible. I actually wanted to go deep on all of those, but I did not realize how much time it would take. And so, but those, these are elite examples responsible for over $3.4 million in recurring monthly revenue. That's just what I've seen and been privileged to have the insight into. I'm sure, these strategies have been done to do more than that in the world, but these are specifically done inside of our ecosystem with people that are like everyday folks side by side, could be even here on the call with us now. And today we're talking through the accelerator. So this is going to be giving you some context for efficiency. We're going to go through our 60D engine worksheet. So I got another goodie to work through to give you some clarity and put some meat on the bones here. And really looking to like the best ROI for each stage. These are sort of like the X factor. You can have a great machine. You can have like a high performance supercar. If you don't put gas in it, like it doesn't matter how well it was constructed. And so for those of us in the acquisition space, and I just mean like if you're turning strangers into subscribers, traffic, eyeballs, like this is top of funnel. And so we're gonna start to flesh this out a little bit more. Some folks were asking me, this is from day one, that slide there, but I did offer this as a gift. If you guys want, and you're like, I love the book version of this sort of stuff. These are very similar. You're getting a deep dive kind of workshop style into this thing, but you're like, Matt, I'm a reader. That's my jam. I'm offering to literally ship you my book totally for free. Yeah, I no credit card. There's no pay for shipping and handling. Just give me your address. That's all I need, and I will happily send it over to you. So yay for free stuff. Into the topic of today. Traffic was not my superpower. I think sometimes as you hear sharing this, I mean, a lot of the things you're seeing me do, there was nothing exceptional. This is especially unexceptional. If you look back at me 13 years ago, this is me. And this is actually more telling to what I would do and who I would be, eliminating any sort of discipline and eliminating a lot of, I mean, maybe some of my wife's influence to learn how to be more of an achiever. I did not care. I'm not a natural publisher. I am not I think, born driven person. I was never like an elite athlete in sports. I mentioned yesterday, even in academically, I have done a number of things, but my undergrad, I was there for like the relationships and the good time. I was not like an all-star student. And yes, I also was totally averse to apparently shaving and pursued more of like a hippie, homeless lifestyle there. And honestly, I'm a slow learner. For the first 10 years I had Instagram, I posted 50 times. That rounds out to like Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday to my wife, like, hey, we went to Disneyland. Like, I was not a born publisher. It did not naturally happen for me. And so I just want to encourage you, because if we're talking about stuff today and you're like, Matt, this sounds overwhelming, I'm going to tell you, I know that feeling. It is overwhelming. Today, right, I was looking at this. I was like, man, we've got 3 podcasts. If you guys like to listen to those, check those out. We got 2 YouTube channels. We have a newsletter every single week. Like, between me and the team, we're putting out about 30 to 40 new pieces of content every single week. It's a discipline. It's a muscle you can work. I realized actually too, I'm doing an internal podcast for the team now. Paulson, if Robin and Varun and Sean aren't doing this for you guys, I think you should ask them to. It is like, I think it's a cool idea. But so internally, we've got podcasts now, talking more of like mindset and leadership stuff for our own team here. But I'm telling you, it's a muscle anybody can develop. And I want to walk through some of the ingredients. So I call these lead machine ingredients. We talk about traffic. This is the lagging indicator of it's going well, right? If I get 10,000 eyeballs and I get 0 leads, like, it's good you work the discipline, but like, ultimately, as we look back to the foundation there, like, we want prospects. We don't just want them to know that we exist. We want to know they exist. I want to collect those pens, as we kind of drew out yesterday. And so the ingredients for this, and you're going to see this go through a lot of pieces here. I'm thinking about visibility, value, and variation. Visibility, value, and variation. We're going to continue to flesh this out. Some other foundational things, or just to understand we're talking traffic, is like, how do people know you exist? And I really think about it in like 4 buckets. There's paid, organic, referral, and outbound. You maybe have heard more of this in terms of like types of traffic. There's bought, borrowed, earned, and owned. But if I really ask the question, how do people know you exist? Like, I'm condensing referral and outbound into that earned bucket there. And the reality is, like, your own traffic, that's good. That's like, we're going to get into like, what does that mean? But I'm not really going to cover that as much today, because honestly, once you've done that, congrats, you keep doing it well. You kind of just do more of, if I help people know that I exist, the people that already know you exist, you're just sort of reminding them that or you're just reminding them that you exist. But so if you see this language kind of cross over here, if you've heard terms, kind of in different areas, like, I thought it was bought, borrowed, earned, and owned, and I'm talking paid, organic, referral, outbound. I'm just trying to get it to the actual nuts and bolts, feet on the ground. How do we get people to know for the first time that you exist? We're talking strangers into that subscriber place. And from my experience, this is a magical one, right? Because you probably don't actually have over 100 people that you could like text right now who would be great fits for this. So if you want to cross 100 subscribers, you usually got to go a little bit beyond just your immediate network of folks that already know you exist. A little grid here to help understand this. And then to give you context for where you want to spend your time, your energy, your efforts, your assets, as I think about it, the relationship between money and time. Am I spending more money or am I spending more time? And then I think about it in from like a linear and exponential output. There are certain things we do that compound. The more we do, the actual more benefit that we get from it. And then certain things that are a little bit more linear, like the more we do, it's just sort of the same, right? And so so this is the grid. This is not pulled from anywhere. This is just Matt's interpretation and experience saying, hey, here's where I've kind of seen them tee up, where they kind of tie together here. Is like, hey, obviously, if you're going to do paid traffic, it costs more money, and it's a little bit more on the linear side. It's not completely. There are certain things you can get, economies of scale that sort of happen there, but by and large, it can be sort of volatile. So sometimes it's like you spend more, you actually get less output. I don't know, the inverse, it's a negative exponential that can happen there, but it's definitely more money than time. Outbound, a little bit more linear, a little bit more time related, right? If I'm just cold calling someone, well, if you want to have 400 people reached, you call 400 people, right? If you want 20, you do 20. So there's a little bit more linear relationship. Organic here, so look at the content space. If you're in the SEO, you do see it's a little bit more exponential, right? We spend some time on it, but it starts to build up. You got like link juice. I was talking to a buddy who might be on here right now, and he's in the SEO space, and he's telling me for like 10 years he built up all of these properties. He's got thousands of properties now from organic energy. And now if he needs something to rank, he like has this whole like link juice farm that's going on, and it happens immediately, right? Now that was 10 years of work. He gets exponential output. So this is just a little grid for you to understand as we break these down, like where you can kind of decide, where do I want to spend my energy, my assets here? My encouragement, this is just a Matt Deseno quote, is I like to risk the less valuable to protect the more valuable. This is it is Dan Martell has a book, Buy Back Your Time. And his premise is, as an entrepreneur, if you want to grow and kind of enjoy that process, just focus entirely on buying back your time at every level that you're doing. If you think about it in that way, you kind of insulate yourself from accidentally doing something that will make you resent the business here. And so that's why I think about it. Right now, if you got no money and you got tons of time, do it. Like, that's great. Like, that's what you got more of. As you start to make more money, maybe it's time to like get a little bit more paid. And I see people kind of hamstring because they get to a certain level and they're like, I just got to keep on doing the hard work that's there. I'm like, try out paid advertising. So, and I'll give you some tips and tricks and ways to make it more effective, but don't be afraid to risk the less valuable to protect the more valuable, depending on your season of life there. Okay. Why do leads exist? I think I teased this out, but I just want to like double stamp this. It is a value exchange. Our just game as a business out there is to put as much free value out into the marketplace that we capture a percentage of this value. You literally want to give out so much value that you recapture that piece. And so it comes down to reciprocity. It really is. Those leads exist because they received enough value from you while they were strangers that they said, you know what, I would love to move further in this relationship. I want to become a prospect. And even I would say when those prospects go to subscribers, what happens there? It's still reciprocity. That's why I told you on the foundation, we looked at that graph there. Like, what do you do to connect prospects to subscriber status? Free value, just value as much as possible. I've just been convinced of this more and more so. This is how the marketplace works, whether we believe it or not. It's reciprocity. So how do we create scalable value? How do we deliver that value? And we're going to get into the traffic piece of it. It's like, what are we putting out there? What are we putting eyeballs towards here? I think about it in magnets. This is a classic marketing term. It's lead magnets. Like, and for us, like prospect magnets, we're attracting them in, even if it's cold. Like, you got to draw them towards something of value here. And so I've got 3 categories. This is, just a refresher. I think I mentioned yesterday. So assets, they can download something. Education, they can watch, read, or listen to something. And conversations, they can book a call with someone. They can literally have that conversation. I think that's the one that maybe is unclear, that I would count that as free value. The subset of that is you're giving those folks clarity. Like, just understanding the right direction to move is actually something very valuable. This is why it's a perfectly valid strategy to say, hey, do you have a problem? Hop on a 15-minute call, a demo call, a discovery call, whatever it is. And the person on the other side of it is like, this is actually worthwhile to me because I just don't know what I don't know. And so having a conversation with someone can be absolutely valuable. But as we think about which one you want to take action on, consider Parkinson's law. This is, I think about it in garages. We've, gone from, I've been married 10 years. We've gone from, renting an apartment to owning a condo to owning a house to owning another house. And every stage of it, it's like in the condo, you got like a carport. Somehow you fit everything just with a carport. Then in the, or sorry, that was the apartment. Then we had a 1-car garage and you fill up the 1-car garage. And you have a 2-car garage and you fill up the 2-car garage. And then you got a 3-car garage and you fill up the 3-car garage. And you got a 3-car garage and an extra 4-car garage. And you still fill up all the garage space that you have. And so Parkinson's law just says that like it really says work expands to the space that you give it. A little bit of an inverse of that is like our leads will never exceed the capacity of our magnets. So you can do the math on the potential of your magnet to understand, am I going to get enough leads? So I see this, I say calls, conversations is not a bad lead magnet. Sometimes it's very easy. We talk through like, on the blueprints from yesterday, some of the ones that were running that way, I'd say, might be 3 or 4 tacos in terms of ease of deploying that. But when we look at like scale, look at how much you can do, I've just seen folks they will naturally limit themselves. So right now, if the only form of free value you put out in the marketplace is book a call with me, just know you are limiting yourself by your own magnet. You don't want to do 50 calls in a day. You may not think it's possible. Maybe, but like, even if you could do 50 calls in a day, you don't want that. Is you start to shift to other magnets where you can imagine, wait, if 1,000 people got free value from this tomorrow, I'd be stoked. I'd be happy. I'd say, go. I'd love it. I want 2,000 people to do that. The more we kind of shift our free value to things that have more leverage, you'll see it will naturally follow that the lead volume, the prospect volume is going to grow just because the source of free value has more scale and subconsciously you're in favor of it growing. That's like sometimes the constraints on our system or on our business, we don't actually want it to grow. We don't realize that. We say, man, I want more customers. And then I look and say, oh, well, how do people get free value from you? It's like, well, they have to have a one-on-one conversation with me. I'm like, I don't think you really want your business to grow, because you look at tomorrow and you would just dread 100 people on the calendar. So, variation. Now we're going to get into, I'm going to give you some of these contexts. These are going to fill in the, a little bit of that organic space. As we go through this, we're going organic, then we're going to go into earned, and then into paid is really kind of our sequence here. But I think what we do organically informs what we can do from an outbound or from a paid version. Those are just a little bit more leverage. We talk about time versus money on there. But these buckets, it comes down to like, we look for associations as people. So think of your prospects. You do this as well. We want to connect things. We want to like draw connections, those associations. This is what a brand is. Largely, we talk about like branding. It is creating connections, creating associations between, a business and certain identities. And your digital identity is the same. Like, we create these associations. It's general best practice that you want to develop. Like, if you want them to become a subscriber, they should know, like, and trust you, right? This is like, they got to know you exist. They want to kind of like you and then trust you. If that happens, well, I'll say it this way. If that isn't happening, if they don't know you, if they don't like you, if they don't trust you, there's a 0% chance they will become a subscriber. And so in the process of just understanding you and your brand, we want to create those intentional connections. So we think about these buckets of areas that you can deliver your message in. Like, what associations are we creating? So these buckets are going to play into 2 things. The kind of free value that we put out there. Sometimes it's the topics or something like that, but then also the beliefs that we want them to have that would cause them to want to be a subscriber. So these are examples of these buckets. We're going to play this out for like a content here. It's like, maybe I'm going to teach. Maybe you could share case studies. Maybe you could do like a solution spotlight. Maybe you highlight the team. Maybe you talk about your core values. And these connect to our pre-beliefs. So the pre-beliefs, these are like the preceding beliefs. It's like, what's the big domino or big dominoes that lead to a subscriber? Let me give you an example of ours. If you believe these things, chances are you'll become a subscriber. If you believe, we know the industry. If you believe we're connected, we know who's who, we can get stuff done. If you believe we make it easy, if you believe that we solve problems, if you believe that we are valuable, these are all preceding beliefs that you can be like, what are the things I want my folks to believe? You could take, I mean, I kind of did these in a way where this is generic enough. You might be like, I'm just going to absorb exactly these. Now, your industry, who you're connected to, what problems you're solving, like maybe like you can get more specific on like to these topics, but this is critical. If you understand what are the things that I need my prospects or even strangers to believe that would make the idea of becoming a subscriber feel like a no-brainer. It's like it's a done deal. These ones are set. We're going to see this is going to play into how we approach our traffic game here. But I just want you to start right now. Take these down, snapshot or whatever. Like start to write down for yourself. Like what are those things? If a person believed these 5 things, being my subscriber is an absolute no-brainer. Some of those preceding beliefs can also be like problem severity. Maybe I'm saying like, I want them to believe that not having a chat widget on their website is holding their business back from growing, right? That is a great preceding belief because I know now what kind of content do I want to create? What kind of, we'll talk about like what sort of stuff should I do from an organic perspective that's going to reinforce these preceding beliefs. So I don't need to be heavy on become a subscriber. I just spend all of my energy putting the context around this, around the traffic so that the idea of moving to the next level is, it just feels like a no-brainer. So last concept, and then we're going to break down and actually do some worksheet here. The buying cycle. This is this called Love is Blind? My sister-in-law loves this show. It's a show where literally I think they are like blindfolded, they meet, they get married in a matter of like weeks, right? Super fast. Different relationships move at different speeds. They just do. And so Love is Blind, they're married in a few weeks. My wife and I, we dated for years. We were engaged for, a year and a half. I don't necessarily recommend it, but like we ran slow. We also, met young. Different relationships at different speeds. How long does a relationship need to be nurtured before marriage happens, right? Before that big commitment happens there. So knowing your that time cycle for your prospects is critical. For us, we know the average time from lead to customer, from prospect to subscriber for us is 28 days. This is super valuable. Certain industries have longer buying cycles. Certain industries have shorter buying cycles. You're going to want to know this number because for the next piece, as we go through this, this is going to tell you how to do this well. For example, let's say it this way, if your subscriber, if their buying cycle from prospect to subscriber is, I don't know, six months, that's good to know. How many dates you need to plan, right? Like if like this is how long on average they want to be figuring us out, kind of teasing out the relationship before they commit, you need to make sure that's prepared, right? Conversely, with like Love is Blind, that show, they plan out like 2 weeks worth of dates and it's done. Then it's like marry, don't marry, right? It's like, so depending on the speed of decision-making for your prospects there, you can back into how much work and effort do I need to put into this. So now we're going to talk organic. I'm going to give you the grid. So this largely comes into organic play. I like to start with this muscle first. I told you, like, I'm not a natural publisher, but organic is the reps. Organic is the reps. I think I meant to share the story yesterday and I forgot, but I like to sauna in the mornings and just get in there and do a super hard thing. You do 20 minutes in the sauna and like the last 5 minutes, your heart rate feels like you're sprinting. And so I'm just in there suffering with folks. And I've gotten to know this guy, Gary. He's probably, I don't know, in his 60s, maybe early 70s. And he's there every morning, early AM in the gym. So Gary and I get to talk and we were talking and he's asking me about the business and stuff that we're doing there. And I was relating to this concept of, it's just, some things are, you just got to put in the reps. You just have to put in the reps to develop the muscle that's necessary. So it's very easy for us relating it to in the gym context there is so many things in life are just the after effect of those small inputs again and again and again. Organic content, I believe this is what's refining that thing. Like we talked about the bridge. I challenge you guys to share the bridge. What? It was organic. If you did that, if you did your homework there, you made one piece of organic content. Congrats, right? Now you do 1,000 reps, you will find mastery. You will find strength here. And so I'm not saying you have to do one or the other. I think all of these traffic arenas work really well together. But I've seen more folks try to skip over the boring work of organic content and just developing the muscle of getting a feedback loop on your message out there in the marketplace, and they go straight to like paid because they feel like I don't want to put in the time. And I'm telling you, you got to do the boring work that works. Organic is kind of in that space. And so that's why we're starting with this. You just got to put in the small reps because it gives you that feedback loop. And I don't care if it's, I remember Hermosi shared it this way. He would start with everything on Twitter. This is like when he was in the come up. He wasn't even doing a lot of stuff. He didn't have a big following on Twitter. He would decide, he might put one tweet out. This is actually maybe even before it was X, but so one tweet on X, and one would get 10 likes and the other would get 2 likes. And so that would be the feedback loop of like, do more of the one that got 10 likes and do less of the message that got 2 likes. It's relative feedback loop. You don't have to be like, this one got 10,000 and this one got 100. Sometimes even in small pieces, that's a really valuable feedback loop there. But so we're going to talk through the grid. This is a big feat. And I asked ChatGPT what it looks like to, how to eat an elephant. And it's one bite at a time. ChatGPT, I think it thinks that the elephant is eating us, and I know it feels like that sometimes. And so I've got this tool to help you break it down and really put this into practice here. So first thing, we get our pre-beliefs down in the grid. For right now, I just want you to get these, and I'm giving you the sheet. It'll make it easy to plan this all out. Those preceding beliefs. What are those dominoes I want to topple that makes becoming a subscriber feel like a no-brainer? We know here's the example. You can do that. I shifted. I think I said earlier, like we have, our core values, like we are aligned. That's a great one. Like we share common core values. That's like on the like side of it. Like there's lots of businesses that do similar things. And it's a decision-making guideline for us. Like it affects us. I like to do businesses that feel like they share my same values. So don't discount that. That has nothing to do with your product, but it can have everything to do with your subscriber. Then we're going to like start to map out what kind of posts could I do here? What kind of pieces of content can I do? For us, you maybe seen this. I do like hot takes. I literally have a whole podcast called High Level Hot Takes. And so if you want to see like my hot takes on things going on high level, like that's why I've got it going on there. Right. And you're like, what is Matt doing there? I want you to know, I know the industry. Right. So, we're connected. Maybe we're going to highlight something, but this is, highlight a problem, payoff, like connection points there. We make it easy. Testimonials, case studies, people saying this was easy. This was great. We solve problems. How to, right? We have a crazy robust blog and all these videos we keep on doing. It's just like how to be like, hey, before you're a subscriber, we still make it easy for you. And I think you could do the exact same thing here. So we're talking like, what kind of post? Now you have your own flavor. I told you on day one, you being you is actually your unfair advantage. Do not discount that. There are things that you already do that I've seen magic come out of, people looking at themselves and saying like, what actually do I already do here? So bringing in, even the Alliance here character, if you've got kids, you've got hobbies, these sort of things are incredible. Some of my favorite, kind of like entrepreneurs and leaders have found a way to pair their personality, their preferences with these preceding beliefs. And that makes you stand out. As I said, earlier on other days, your marketing's effectiveness is related to its uniqueness. That's why you being you is incredible, is an incredible asset there. And so you don't have to do hot takes. You could do interviews. As I do hot takes. I don't do interviews. Like maybe I should do. That'd be great. You could interview other experts in the space. And what are you reinforcing there? Maybe it's like we are connected. Also, we know the industry. Then we're going to map out like, what is the actual content here? So it's like, that's my post type. I've got those. Then I've got content like, oh, I'm going to do a podcast. I'm going to do a blog. I'm going to do a video. I'm going to do a workshop. I'm going to do a picture and story, right? So like it actually goes with it. So I could have said, actually, the earlier example, I said like how to could be a blog. But in this way, we kind of mapped it out to like, hey, we're going to make the how to a workshop. So we're just going to keep on doing these, quick trainings on how to do something just to reinforce we solve problems, right? But so for you, as you're thinking about your content strategy, it doesn't have to be complex. Like the 5 pre-beliefs, and we're going to like we're getting our variety in there, right? So I said it's visibility, value, and variation. This is the variation. How do we get variation in here to get this going? Here's the sheet. hlportals.com/60 content. This is one you can work through. And you see, I got like a real example there. You're like, you guys have maybe seen it. It's like, hey, I want people to know that we do well. We got a testimonial. Here's Frank Kern saying, it's an absolute no brainer, right? So I'm giving you behind the scenes. This is the real stuff that works here, but I've seen this moves the needle. And so what you're going to do if you have that sheet up, just it's hlprotools.com/60 content is literally just a Google sheet. Magic. I love Google. You're going to list out 12 examples of each, right? This is, we're going to eat it bite by bite. How do you attack the elephant? Piece by piece by piece here. So 12 examples of each, like maybe you can do that. This is where it can be magical. You just need 12 testimonials, 12 testimonials. And I'm telling you, this is going to be a robust content strategy where now you will look like an absolute category king or queen because you did the work. This is the boring work that works. You're just doing it piece by piece here. And I'm telling you, like, we're going to get into other pieces here, but someone posted it just again, hlprotools.com/60 content. Just direct share to that Google Sheet for you. So you're going to list out 12 examples of each. Here's another Matt quote for you. The person who is loudest about the problem is believed to be the best at solving it. Resist the urge to make all of your content championing how good you are. Focus on the problem. And actually, I've seen this in so many industries. You actually don't even know the extent of their competency until you get on the other side of becoming a buyer, right? Like it doesn't actually matter. Like there is no way you could prove to someone enough that like I actually can do it until they actually become a subscriber and see that it actually works. But you can be very loud about the problem. And this is just a heuristic. It's a shortcut in our minds. When we hear someone who talks about the same thing over and over and over again, we can't help but assume they're the best at solving it. Now, I'm gonna tell you, for me, there's a heavy weight of integrity. I told you on day one, no one has more experience of seeing the success of people running a private label, a white label SaaS than I do. And I will keep on putting the boring word that works and make that true. But if you see my messaging, I don't need to spend a lot of time saying I will never run an ad saying like, I'm so good, but I will talk to you time and time again about the problems that I see people experiencing and the payoff that can be on the other side of it. And I mean, you guys are seeing this deep dive. I'm holding nothing back here, but this is just the truth. And I need to reinforce it because I see people get started and they're like, why isn't it working? I'm like, you are trying to just be your own like advocate, and you just need to focus on meeting people where they're at. The strangers, they're in problem zone. They're just sitting there, maybe even unaware. They're usually either like problem unaware or problem aware. If they're comparing you to somebody else, honestly, social proof's going to be, we'll get into that, but just to reinforce here, there's two tabs at the bottom of the sheet there, the content schedule and the strategy. The strategy tab is what you want to spend your time on here. Or, like you fill in on the strategy, it actually dumps it out on the content schedule and gives you like the ability here. So, you're going to fill it out on the strategy. You're going to say like, here's all the folks we're, the pre-belief that we're good. I'm going to do testimonials, and here's the 12 testimonials that I have. After I've got those, it's going to now populate it onto the sheet there to dynamically give you like, hey, here's the schedule out. Here's how to do this stuff. Once again, there's that link, hlprotools.com/60 content. True time to do this. I would remember that Parkinson's law is you can set false constraints on yourself. You could say, I put it on my calendar. I got 30 minutes. That's all the time I'm giving myself to do this. And guess what will happen? You will do it in 30 minutes. If you don't give yourself a constraint, you could take 30 days to do this. I'm going to encourage you, give yourself a false constraint. There's no right or wrong answer. And especially if this is the first time you've ever done this, get the rep in. I'm not even saying this is going to be your best ever. I'm actually guaranteeing this is going to be the worst time ever that you will do this exercise. So get your worst time ever out of the way. But you'll be surprised how even your worst effort done exceeds your best intentions and thoughtfulness incomplete. So it is like, done beats perfect. True. Like, and it's not just like perfect, because obviously perfect would be great. It's done beats the pursuit of perfect. Like it being out there is working in your favor. But for those who want some more speed, I got to give you all the tips and tricks here. I met these guys. I got to talk to them at a high level thing. This was a Facebook developer on Meta who I'm actually excited for more of these kind of like, I'll call them, I don't know what, like this is like ninja developer status coming into the high level system. We all get to benefit from it. And they have this tool called brandblast.ai. And it creates 150 posts in 5 minutes. And I'm just going to quickly go through. It's super easy. You put in the website, it like synced it immediately with AI. I was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, this sounds like a great template. Okay, go do that. What kind of content? I was like, 60 days of content, video only, please. And it's like, for what kind of format? And he's like, this one, thank you. And it was like, what types of videos? It was so easy. It was stupid easy. But here was the magic of it. my sheet, it let me upload that document. So what you're doing right now for the 60, like the 60 content, like that is your strategy. Like you get to do that. Like that's you, those preceding beliefs, that sort of stuff right there. Like, I mean, you could ask it, you could probably use ChatGPT, get AI to help you with this, but I do find it's valuable to like trust yourself, right? Your personality, right? You're thinking of like, how do I stand out? Like your values are your values. So getting those down on paper, digital paper, that's what you bring here. But if on the next phase of it, which I can't, like there's the other piece, you got to actually like create the posts, which I get for some folks. They're like, oh, now I got to create the post. Like how to actually create the post. And like I said, you can train yourself to 30 minutes and get it done. Not saying it's going to be perfect, but if you're like, Matt, I good on the strategy, bad on the graphic design, or I don't even want to use Canva, or I just want to be as fast as possible, this is probably like the 10-minute version. So now you could buffer it and be like, I give myself 20 minutes of strategy, 10 minutes of like using a tool. And it was, I was blown away. So, shout out to those guys. And honestly, dear Meta, send more developers our way into the high level secondary system. I love it. And I'm for it. So it was people ask brandblast.ai. I don't know if you can just Google it. Maybe there's other brand blasts out there, but it was brandblast.ai. And I should have gotten an affiliate link, but I'll figure that out later. I'm just telling you guys stuff that I like. So yeah, there we were on the content side of it. And my hope for you is, and if we have time to, I'll show you the actual posting. They actually made a sync, so you can just sync it into high level and make it even easier. But it's also, even if you're just manually doing this stuff, before you go too crazy with it, let me give you this context. I think I just realized I'm missing one slide. The vision is we create 60 days of content and we repeat it every 60 days. This is a function inside of high level, and I love it. So if you guys are like, oh no, I'm ruining the magic here. I know it takes 28 days on average for someone to go from prospect to a subscriber, even a stranger to a subscriber for us. That might be, but I only know they exist once they, become a prospect. So what did I do? I created 60 days of content and I put it on loop. So I kid you not, every 60 days, we run the exact same content. If you're wondering, like, Matt, does it work? I'm telling you, like, yes, this works, right? We want to work smarter, not harder. And so if I already know my buying cycle is this, if you 2x the buying cycle, you're good. Once they become a subscriber, it's a different experience. Now you're nurturing them on the other side of like they're experiencing the benefit there. They're not out there saying, man, I still have this problem. Hopefully they've deployed what you're using and they now no longer have the problem. But that's the X factor here is we load it into high level and you can set it as just cycling every 60 days. So I told you this is like a muscle to flex. I do think there's value in like there's certain things that I do every day just to keep on flexing that muscle, but high level makes it so silly easy that actually the muscle you're only flexing is one time. You got to set this up one time and you set it to repeat every 60. I mean, now with like AI, like every 120 days, like whatever you want there. And it just keeps on going. And you might ask like, Matt, why don't I don't want to repeat it. I want to do it differently. I'm going to encourage you in this. Like choreographed routines are the ones that are most celebrated. I was not big into musicals. My wife grew up in theater and she was a ballerina and did ballet and professionally even too. And so she took me to my first musicals. I saw Hamilton. That thing was incredible. Do you think they like were improvising Hamilton when I saw it there? No, they were running the exact same script, the exact same songs, the exact same routine, the exact same dances, and it was magical for your business on the content side of it. When you understand these are the pre-beliefs that I want to have, it's actually more valuable to keep on doing the same thing and look at the feedback loop, and then you just pull out your losers. Do more of your winners, pull out your losers. So that's what we do. So by default, on 60 days, everything's repeating. We'll come back and we'll check who were our standouts, who were our like less than, and we just substitute in, like we just sub out the losers. We just looked and say, like, who are the ones that didn't do as well? Okay, let's innovate on those ones. But it has actually a better experience to get a revolution of feedback as opposed to always doing unique stuff. Because what you'll accidentally do is you'll create a winner that crushes, that absolutely succeeds, and then you'll move on from it. This is the boring work that works, is like sometimes it's doing the same good thing and not serving your own entrepreneurial ADHD to like do something new, but allowing your business to keep on serving the best top tier version, that choreographed version of content that perfectly addresses the pain, talks through the payoff, has the like helps folks topple over the domino of the preceding belief here. And so it's counterintuitive, but I'm saying like work smarter, not harder. And so this isn't a discount. Like I say, you're still going to put in hard work. Don't be averse to that. But I'm saying there's aspects of being elite that is just stifling. Like, don't let yourself overwork this thing. And so that's why I love high level. You literally put it in there. Brand Blast also like direct connected, so it's very easy. But you can CSV it into high level, even if you're just doing yourself with Canva or something like that. And so the was this good? I see people in chat. I appreciate
Absolutely.
you guys popping up. But
Yeah.
is this we
Yeah.
any light bulb moments for us?
I think so. And my focus was to kind of just stay out of the way as much as possible because there's so much content to cover. So hopefully you forgive me for my quietness here, but it's really just to give everybody the focus on, you know, keeping the main thing. Now,
Yeah.
I wonder, Matt, why if this is so easy at this point to generate content and put it all out there and schedule it all out on high level and integrations and all kinds of stuff, what is stopping people from taking action today? I don't
Hmm.
understand personally because I come from a world of like we had to do the hard work of editing all this stuff on Camtasia to figure it all out. Like today it's like this is a joke.
This is curious. And so I mean I mentioned to you all earlier, why not me? You got to ask yourself that. Why not me? I've told you this. You could block out right on your calendar 30 minutes and you could probably have this done. Use brand, like, why not me? And so, Paulson, some folks are saying no. And so that's why I love this. And I mentioned this day one. Our minds expand by getting in a room like this. And so, here, I actually do have an ask for everybody here. I wasn't thinking about this, but I just felt this stirring. If this has been good, share this. Share the high level link, like share this with somebody else because someone just said knowing was my issue. I didn't even know this was possible. Uh, if you give it to other folks what you want to see cultivated in yourself. I've seen this true and true again. So if you're sitting here like this was good, I'm saying share the high level link. Like just share whatever I don't know if people can get on Zoom, but if
Share
you're on
yeah,
Facebook,
they can share
like
the streaming link if they want to. Worst
share
case
the streaming
scenario.
link, whatever it is. Like you're sitting here and you're like, man, I didn't know. Now I know, and now my business is going to change for the better. Please share it. And I that might seem like self-serving or high level serving, but honestly, I was just like, that hit me when someone said knowing. They're like, okay, we need more people to know. So let's share it. I'm gonna keep going because
Yeah.
we got a lot. Okay. The four types of traffic, which I mentioned earlier, right? So we've got this owned traffic. We're talking emails, CRM, not getting into that today. Phenomenal. High level helps so much with this. If you don't like, this is their bread and butter baked in. Borrowed traffic. This is kind of we just got on the content side of it. I said this is the organic social media. Like when I'm doing and posting this content, you get likes, you get followers, but ultimately I can't control the reach. And that's why it's so important. I think of it as like it's just the reps, it's the muscle that I'm developing because this is a little bit more out of my control. I want to move most of these traffic sources into owned traffic. I want to go from strangers that see me to prospects, right? I got those that phone, that email, that name, those pens. That's when it becomes owned traffic here. Then there's bot traffic, which we're going to cover. This is paid ads. I'm going to do that last. But earned traffic, I mentioned earlier, like it ties down into the two things here. This is advocates. Ultimately, at the end of the day, earned traffic is advocates. And it's still hard work that works, but I think there's wise ways to do it. And I would say that this actually also includes cold. And so I think this is another muscle you can learn and work on cold. And so those four types of traffic, we're going to talk about earned right now. So how to earn traffic. If you choose the right channel and craft the right message, cold outreach can work. For many years, I would totally dog on cold outreach. I'm way more inbounds. That's my preference. But at the end of the day, you're going to see some examples like even this right now that you're having the experience. You're like, Matt, how did this happen? I would actually say it was understanding cold traffic. So I'm going to give you some practical, small, like low hanging fruit that you can use to deploy this as an accelerator to any of those elite acquisition engines that you put in there. So let's talk about channels. What makes a channel great? So I see three characteristics here. We got a little Venn diagram here. We got visibility, uniqueness, and reps. Visibility, uniqueness, and reps. So for example, I want something that's visible and easy. I might go email, sort of. I, in general though, oof, this is a big platform, but I gotta say it because I feel like I care about you guys too much. Do not start with cold email. I see. I'll put it this way: if I wanted someone to just waste 6 months of their life and feel discouraged, I would tell them, hey, you should check out cold email. Fundamentally, Google's job is to keep it out of the inbox. You are working against the giants who are saying this is the definition of spam. I understand. Hypothetically, it'd be easy. Hypothetically, it's easy, or like they should see it and be easy. I really don't say start there. Can it work? Yes. Should you start there? No. Okay. Visibility and uniqueness. Lumpy mail. You could send a package. Like if I send a package to someone's doorstep, are they going to see it? Yeah. Like 99% of the time. Is it unique? Absolutely. Right. Marketing's effectiveness related to its uniqueness. You see, it works because like nobody else is sending mail. And then if you want something easy and unique, maybe they won't see it. Just send them a message on MySpace. Like I'm just going to like do, there are all these random channels that maybe, that's not necessarily what I'm recommending here. So
Yeah.
we want the gold trophy to be in the center there somewhere. I'm going to overlap. I'm going to get visibility. I'm going to get uniqueness. And it's going to be like easy, or like there's an ease for them to reply or to respond, or all that sort of process there, or even to do. And so just keep that in mind, because I don't have an exhaustive example of channels, but I think if you understand this framework, when you're picking out channels, you'll be like, I see an example here, or I see what meets the criteria. Okay, now we're going to talk message. So what makes a message great? This is I don't know if this goes to Dan Kennedy or Russell Brunson, but hook, story, offer. I could rename it with different words, but I got to give credit. Like that, I did not invent this. So when I think of the hook, make them want to keep reading. I'll show examples like, I love what you're doing. Here's an example. In cold messaging, I don't know why more people don't do this, is just compliment the person. Like be a testimonial. Like, do people like good news around them? Like, absolutely. I can't help it. Every person who puts in the chat who says something good, like, man, this is awesome, I love it. Like my eyes are just drawn to it. As humans, we can't help but prioritize someone saying good stuff about us. We need more of that. Most of our inner dialogue is negative. So if you want to be a pattern interrupt to someone, be like, dude, Dennis, I love your action taken. I love what you're doing. I love your engagement. And I'm stoked that you already put it in action yesterday and got testimonials, right? For Dennis, that's a standout. That's an elevate. It's there. And I see him in the chat right now. So just celebrate what they're doing. Now, genuinely find out what they're doing and then just start with that. Mark, I appreciate you. Okay.
He called you a thin slice of bread, I think.
Yeah, I'm a thin slice of bread. I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm a thin slice of bread. I'm low carb bread. Okay. On the story side of it, not crazy here. We want to make them remember you. I also studied in Argentina. Find common ground. I mean, I studied abroad in Argentina. If someone did that deep dive, if they did enough sleuthing, they're like, man, here's a common thread or whatever it is. I also serve. If you find common ground, chances are they're going to remember you. You gave them a reason to put you in a special category. Now, giving you these foundations, we're going to apply this into cold messaging, but think about this. Like if you can do this, it works better. I mentioned yesterday, or maybe a day one, when we're picking out who we're going to serve. This is why I think proximity, even geography, as a defining characteristic of who you serve, gives you an advantage. Because now you could widely say, I also live in this city. Because you were going after folks that live in your city. So immediately, is your message going to be better? Yes. Because you have a good story. You already have common ground that puts you in a category above everyone else. I said it before. I'm going to keep on saying, like, you being you is your greatest asset. Think about this, right? And so finding common ground there, or, like there's other ways to do it, but like make them remember you. That's what we want to do. This is the low hanging fruit there, is just find common ground. And then the offer, make it easy to reply. I think this is the challenge. We're going to look at examples here, especially in like things that feel formalized or businessy, like partnerships. And people will come out of the gate being like, will you marry me? And I'm like, dude, bro, calm down. Like that is not how you do this thing. Think of it like the first date, right? Like when I was like, met my wife before, anything, it was like, can I get your number? Like it's easy questions to respond to. You got to work up the value ladder. Don't come out of the gate with these hard questions. And I see that sometimes, like if you do a cold message and it's got a heavy ask, the person's just overwhelmed. There's like, I don't even know how to respond to you.
Yeah.
And so now I'm not going to. And so you got to work it up. And so here's the easy
Yeah.
example is like, do you have a pot? I'm just giving you this because sometimes it's gimme, they do, or, and we're going to talk examples of how you could like transfer this, how you can move them into prospect or move them into, even if you're trying to accelerate into promoter side of there,
Yeah.
make the ask, make the offer easy to respond to create a conversation, create the relationship. So, what makes a great message? Hook, story, offer. I think some of us will learn this in like advertising space. And I'd say in cold messaging, it is the same piece, just a little bit less formalized, a little bit more, personable. And when we think about channels here, this is just like a few. Is like, what channels could you use? Social DMs, email, website, phone. I'm gonna give props. The ones I see working most effectively is social DMs and website. I recorded a gimme for this workshop. I actually don't even know if it ended up getting used there, Paulson, in ads and stuff. If not, I'll find a way to get you guys a link to it. But I did a little quick video showing you a little hack for website DMs, and it's the same process, same message, same thing going over there. I'll get you guys the video. I don't want to spend it here because I've already have a video for it, but I am going to give you guys a challenge. So you're hearing this. Hopefully it's clicking. Like what it means to like actually learn something is to change your behavior. When you learn it, your behavior changes. So if you're having ahas, I'm just everything in me is fighting for you not to have like entrepreneurial amnesia and walk away tomorrow and forget everything that you just discovered was going to move the needle in your business. So here's my challenge for you. And I'm going to be real. I had a mentor challenge me with this because I was not and still fight against the natural bearded homeless tendencies that I just want to be a hermit. Is my challenge is to DM 5 ideal prospects per day. I actually track this as one of my KPIs now for me personally. And I'm going to tell you, for me and the size of the business that I have, this doesn't move the needle. But I'm going to give you, for you, this might be an absolute needle mover. I do it because I want to keep on working this muscle. So I'm telling you, I'm here with you in this. Why is this kind of special? Ideal prospects. You can literally search people and be like, they look like my ideal prospect. So if I know I'm serving business owners in my city, I can literally just go on Instagram and start searching like business owner in my city. I might do a quick Google search. You could take like 20 minutes and probably get like a list of 100 of ideal prospects. I'm telling you to just work it 5 per day. Here's why. Because I want you to just be social on social media. If you struggle with traffic, if you want to move into the elite, you do not need to spend a fortune to be part of the elite, right? You've got resources or resourcefulness. This is on the resourcefulness part of it. We are going to be social on social media. It is not crazy. It's not weird. But imagine this. If you did this for a year, if you had 1,825 conversations with ideal prospects, could you convert 5.4%? That's 100. If you want to break 100 and you could commit to 5 DMs per day, could you convert 5.4%? I should have had I should have had a slide on this, but a secret between the elite and the mediocre many, I've heard it called this way. It's the execution gap. It is just doing the work. The access to knowledge is out there. You're here right now. Like I know some folks are like, I didn't know it. Like, okay, now you know it. Now there's no excuses. This is doable. Like I have this down to a point where like this is in my like, I don't actually have time on my calendar blocked out to do this. I just do this accidentally throughout the day. I just know it's just like, that's like a habit. Let me check. Let me go into social media. And if you're like, I mean, this is helpful. I have alerts turned off. I don't get alerted. Like I don't even have the push note, nothing about Instagram. Like I go to Instagram. So it's like, if I'm in a moment, whatever, I'm going on a walk, like I'm going to go on to Instagram. And my priority, I'm like, here I am. I got to pay my Instagram tax, which means I got to go find 5 ideal prospects and I got to just be social on social media. Examples of this, like actually look at their content. find out, are they an ideal prospect? It doesn't take a lot of time. You're like, huh, that's interesting. Like this comes to like caring about your prospects. Be like, that's interesting. I see what they're doing here. I might comment, I might like on a post. And then I'm going to send them a DM. And it's going to be that exact framework: hook, story, offer. Hey, I love what you're doing. I had no idea that we had, if pick an example, I had no idea that there was even a acai bowl shop in our city. I love acai bowls. I got to come by and try it.
Yeah.
How long has the business been open? There's an example. Like, that's the message. What is the chance of reply? Through the stinking roof. Now, when you have that conversation, you can come with a bridge. Inevitably, what will happen is they will say, what do you do? And you can say it. Here's the other thing. This works on the back of your content. If you are already now publishing content, what will happen is they'll be like, huh, here's a cool friendly face. He might respond. And then he will click on to, I assume he or she, the business owner, will click onto your profile, and there will be a ton of content designed to topple over those preceding beliefs, being very loud about problems that your ideal prospect probably experiences. And what are they going to, he's going to be like, they're going to be like, oh, I've been doing it for 5 years. And dude, I love what you're doing. I actually have been really in need of, an AI chat widget for the business, or I've been like trying to find a way to get new leads. I'm telling you, when you do this in the right order, when you put in the small pieces, they stack. And I see too many folks struggle with traffic because they're like, it's so hard. It costs a fortune. How is it going to work? And you realize, it's kind of like, I mean, I relate a lot to like my, fitness journey. Is you're like, my goodness, it is just small behaviors repeated over time, and they just compound. And these are the things. If you can publish content with, strategic intention repeatedly, that person that you just commented, chances are they aren't going to obsess over every piece of your social media for the next 120 days. They're looking at you now. And that's part of that buying cycle. That's why we have that on Revolve every 60 days. And then we DM 5 people per day, ideal prospects. You find them, you DM them, hook, story, offer. And I really want you to internalize this.
Yeah.
5 a day would be 1,825 messages over the next year. And you would need to convert 5.4%. I talk to folks like, I'm a killer at sales. I talk to someone, I close 30%. And what's the issue? It's traffic. And they're like, yeah, I don't got a big budget to run a ton of ads. Or it's like, I just don't like making content. I'm like, oh my goodness. You like,
Matt, I assume you're a big fan of Chet Holmes. He has got the book called The Ultimate Sales Machine, right? And he
yeah, yeah.
compares, anybody else big fans of sales books in general? That's kind of
Oh
the
yeah.
world I live in sometimes. So Chet compares the good closers to the great closers, and he's trying to differentiate what is the commonality that makes like a really, really great closer. And what the conclusion of the book is, it's they have more at bats. They just have more volume of leads that are further in the pipeline in their sales cycle. So what Matt's saying is ultimately, if you have more at bats, can you get to the point where every single day you are presenting at least one offer to a qualified prospect? Here's where you're going to fool yourself. Oh, I had 5 conversations. That's not the same thing as 5 sales conversations. That's not the same thing as 5 qualified conversations with qualified prospects. So, don't be the guy and gal that works out for 2 hours, 3 hours, and you come home and you're eating pancakes with nothing but sugar and syrup, right?
Mm.
That you're only fooling yourself. Like none of us could be accountable to you, but just yourself. So, what Chet Holmes says is the folks that are great versus good when it comes to being better closers, they have qualified conversations at way more volume. So ask yourself, can you get at least 5 offers out there every single day? And I think, Matt, they can close a lot more than 5%. I know you're being conservative.
Well, and I'm,
Um,
I'm saying this is what it takes. I think for folks, 100 subscribers feels insurmountable. And I'm telling you, in this context, it's a very little piece. I love someone called me out like, how much you bench press? My fitness journey is recent. I've only been consistent with this for about 4 months. So I'm telling you, this was an area of my life that I identified, that was, I basically, I've grown business by being good at delegating. that doesn't mean you're always great at personal accountability and doing the hard work that works for yourself. I'm
Yeah.
telling you now, I'm a different person, and and like people who know me, even inside the company, it feels like night and day. I cannot bench 225, but this is weird. I've never admitted this publicly, but like I do have a six pack now, and it was just like drilling down to the hard work that works, and I'm working up to it. Like I'm gonna get to the 225, but so let's keep going, and I've got some good stuff about paid. So on paid, there's two easy forms of paid ads. And so one is just bridge plus free value. So go back to day one, like that content, that message, just go bridge plus free value. I gave you the three forms of free value. That could be asset, that could be education, that could be a conversation. You literally, if you just ran bridge to, hey, and if you're struggling with this right now, click the link below. You can hop on a call with me for 15 minutes, totally free. I want to help you find a way to not have to deal with that. I tell you, this ad works. Absolutely. Right. Is it limited in like how many leads you're going to want to get? Like, yeah, it is. If you change it to like, and if you're struggling with this, I put together a free training on this. You can register on the link below. So if you use our prototype from yesterday, if you took action on that, that ad works. And I'm telling you, for us, we still today in 2024 get single digit cost per lead. Very doable. The second form of paid ads, social proof. Like this is I think too many people overthink this. There's really two dynamics here. You want people to know the problem that you solve, and then you want people to believe that you're good at solving that problem. And if this is the content that they receive over the internet, it's like, oh, I know you exist. I know you solve this problem because you're loud about the problem. And then I just hear over and over again of all these people saying like, they were so good at solving the problem. It was really great to have them solve the problem. I really appreciate they solved the problem. I gave you the framework from day one, that ask method, right? Of how we cultivate more prospects. I think Dennis also took action on that. I think he got 2 or 3 testimonials from that process. Shout out to you, Dennis. That is also brilliant creative for your ads. And at the very least, if you only want to run one form of paid advertising, very low budget, I would do retargeting with social proof. This is like a constrained list. It means like you have to do, organic really well to get 100 people to visit your website, right? Or even if you're DMing 5 people a day, and what is that? In a month, 150 people might click over and see your website. But then when they do that, Facebook says very efficiently, or I say Facebook, Meta in general, will very efficiently be like, here is just social proof to those people that visit your website. And so now they found you on social media because you were being social. They maybe visited your website, and you could do this easily by put an extra piece of value in your cold DM sequence. If he's like, hey, here's an example of how we work, and it's a landing page on your website that just says like about us or how we work or something like that. Now you're making sure they go to your website. To have this audience, you can retarget back on Facebook just with social proof. So I know there's a lot of solutions out there to use AI. I think Billy did a great workshop all around like running Facebook ads. Like it works. Facebook ads, they work. But I think sometimes we just you don't have to spend a lot of resources. And if you just want low hanging fruit, this is it. Get those testimonials and then just let your subscribers be an advocate for you. And you're just amplifying their voice. And I mentioned it earlier, like Frank Kern has been an incredible advocate. and like, there's no doubt every time he hops on stage, he gives us a shout out, right? So it's like, and he's, at the end of the day, I mean, it's like the pre-work here is like, how do you get good testimonials? Like, just be good. No, not be good, be great. Like under promise and over deliver. It will sort of happen naturally here, but those amplified voices, you can run ads behind it. Or if it just happens or, naturally here, incredible source of traffic. And this is absolutely in that earned. Like, how did you get it? You earned it, but now you're amplifying it with ads. And so that is on the social proof there. A quick note about making the platforms happy. Platforms like to keep their eyeballs on the platform. So there is this interesting relationship. We actually ran it, I'd say like right now we run A/B tests of like whether you send to a landing page from, the platform or you send to like a direct message or do that comment. I gave you guys that, what do we call that again?
Comment ladder comment.
The comment. I forget what I called it, but the that funnel, the one we went
DM
into,
funnel, the DM
the
funnel.
DM funnel. Okay, I'm
Oh,
looking over
okay.
here like a crazy person. I'm like, where's the post-it note? I can't remember the name of it. It was I really do. I have it all here. The DM funnel. That DM funnel, part of why it works so well is because you're keeping the attention on the platform. So if your initial
Mm.
conversation and that initial conversion, or even getting them uh, to engage with the ad is comment below and then it goes to DM. Facebook's brilliant. I showed you how easy it was. You can also make the first message like, hey, what's your email? I'll send it to you. And Facebook will, high level will automatically take that email address and log it as a contact. So you got the Facebook profile connection, you have the email, but because it's on that platform, because the attention is there, we tend to see lower cost per result. And it just goes, it like kind of makes sense. You're doing what the platform likes. And so they're gonna make it easier on you, right? They're gonna give you a little bit of like a little boost in efficiency there, and so that's what we're thinking about there. I do have to have this note for 2024. Someone mentioned it in the comments, but I did a whole podcast just on this. If you've been running paid ads over the last I don't know 6 weeks or so, or in 2024 recently, and you're like, my goodness, everything just went bad and horrible. But be honest, here's what's happening. History has been making noise. It has been over 40 years since there was a presidential assassination attempt. It's been over 50 years since you had a presidential incumbent not decide to run again. That creates a lot of noise in the marketplace. And so the cost of attention is high. I'm just telling you honestly, like if you went and said, like, I'm going to run ads right now, and you're like, Matt, this is bogus. Ads are horrible. We are at a weird paradigm in 2024, just actually even like the second half of 2024, where paid advertising has been less effective than it has been for us in maybe ever. Like we've just seen this, and one of the metrics there that we see and consider is called CPM. It's like just literally the cost for eyeballs has gone up. So when there's a lot of noise going on, you could add Olympics. Like sometimes you see a little bit of seasonality to this. If crisis strikes or something like that, you might see it peak for a day, but we just had like a month of stuff. And so
Yeah.
what I'm thinking about into 2024, this is more relevant for like this year, this time, but you keep it in note in seasons as you go through this, is what are the traffic sources that are less volatile to these? And so in terms of like this is why on the outbound side of it, that is a less volatile like source of traffic. It's going to cost you more time sometimes, or might be capped in terms of its potential outreach, but it does have less volatility. And so two that I shout out. So I mentioned the DMs. That's my challenge for you. You can do that right now. LinkedIn, we've had great success with. And so someone mentioned it earlier here. I said, Google, they literally are trying to keep you out of the inbox. LinkedIn is a pay to play to DM space. You can pay for Sales Navigator, whatever it is, 80, 90 bucks a month. And they literally say, go out there and do it. And so if you're looking for a way to be able to like have a little bit more leverage in this outbound space, specifically, we've seen LinkedIn be a space that we've kind of tried to focus on more because we've seen the volatility high in paid. So all these principles, they absolutely work. They're still good to do, but I just don't want you to be discouraged. If you're actively doing it, you're like, Matt, this is bonkers. It's not working right here. You got to consider the environmental context that's
Yeah.
going on.
We're
And so
we're also in a political year as well, right?
that's very true.
Th that's what it comes down to. Every 4 years, forget these 6 months on paid ads. Like just take
yeah,
a break if you want to and go all email. And ultimately, you need to own the traffic. So the key is to find the pens, right?
yep,
The
yep,
person's name, email, number, and have it inside of your high level account so you don't have to depend on the platforms.
it's true.
But keep going, Matt. Keep going.
Well, yeah, and so I mean that's the reward on this side. We're going for all of these strangers. We turn them into prospects. That becomes owned traffic. At that point, now you get to do cool things like just email them, do reactivation offers, just nurture them with good
Send them a
content.
video. Yeah.
You send them a video. So that's honestly a little bit less mysterious. In high level, that's like select all contacts, add to automation. And so that piece of it, I told you earlier, I'm not really covering that because that is the lowest hanging fruit. But where I see people usually limited is they actually don't have, like, you just don't have a lot of contacts. You don't have a big
Yeah.
audience, because if you had a list of 30,000 people right now, you'd be like, Matt, it was so easy. I got 100 subscribers. Like, day one because I just sent out one email. And so usually this is the limiter here. And I wanted to focus on advancing this, but you'll move it into owned. But no, the cost of attention is high. You can counteract that in your mix by going after these channels. Like I said, I mean, Facebook, Meta, social platform, DMing, LinkedIn, especially good. And people are saying you can get free day, you can free trials on it. Like it is just, it's probably one of the few. I don't know if there's another one that is um, so explicit with this pay to play, paid to show up in an inbox sort of space there. And so I've been pleasantly surprised, and
Yeah.
especially if you're going after professions, geographic, you can literally say all businesses in the city or business owners in the city. So like you can be niche, you can be geographical. It's actually very good, and there's a ton of talented folks in the high level
Yeah.
space
And
that help with that.
you also want to pay attention to where your audience is hanging out and is the most active, right? Like back when I had my dental agency, I knew dentists were all active inside of Facebook groups, not even regular profiles. But if you go into a Facebook group, they're so active in there. Similarly, if you're working with like an interior design person or a fitness person, you know they're putting out content on Instagram. Like that's where they show off their design, right? So you need to pay attention to where they are. Matt obviously works with B2B digital citizens and agencies. Of course, they're going to be active on LinkedIn. That's a place that you see a lot of white collar industries kind of hang out, and accountants, CPAs, those types of audiences. So pay attention to where your people are. And that's also, it's going to have a play in where you spend the most amount of effort, at least in the beginning stages. You should be relevant everywhere because what stinks organically will stink further when you run paid ads. It's not going to save you. You have
Yep.
to be relevant everywhere. But keep going, Matt.
No, no, I love it. That's so true. Okay, I'm gonna touch on partnerships. So this is in that same, I would say, earned bucket. So we did earned outbound, and then this is referrals. Remember my first graph, like referrals, outbound, like what those are all in this earned bucket. So for partnerships, consider people first. Consider people first. And so I have little hypotheticals for you all. If I gave you $1 million, but you died tomorrow, who's taking it? No takers, right? What if I gave you $1 million, but you were gravely sick starting today? Just like sick in bed, couldn't go anywhere. Anybody? No? I gave you $1 million, but you're all alone. Like you're just completely isolated. No, like everyone else you knew gone, like last person on the earth. Like that's it. $1 million. And you, I mean, at that point, you can't even like give it to anybody to buy the things because there's no one else around. You got no one. If I give you $1 million, but the cost is everyone despises you. You're just loathed by everyone in the world. Anybody doing it? Or what if I give you $1 million, but you had to live against your core beliefs? The things that you hold most dear and true right now, it's like $1 million, but you got to live completely opposite the things that you would consider your core beliefs, your core standards, your values. The reality is, these 5 things are worth more than money: time, health, relationships, status, values. I teased it out on day one when I was considering, like, hey, if you want to amplify some other things besides the financial relationship here, it will make being your subscriber more valuable. If you can give back more time, if you can give more health, you give more of the relationship, you give more stats, you give more values to whatever those values are, it's going to feel more valuable than money. But just the conclusion of the experience, the thought experience we just ran through, money is top 6 at best. And yet, for partnerships, I see so many folks only approach this from the money perspective, right? If we think about like what are the things you can do to build value, to establish yourself as someone who someone would want to partner with, please do not just come out and say, I'll give you 50% of whatever you sell on my behalf. It will not work. That does not work that way. You got to find value in other ways there. So good relationships grow. That partnerships are the same way. You got to think people first. You need to consider the win for them. You need to make yourself a priority. You got to make the ask easy. So this ties into the same cold messaging principles. Because I'll tell you, we've created partnerships with people who did not know me. Like they were effectively strangers. And so how did we do this then? How did we cultivate the relationship? We focus on, like, the messaging is going to be the same thing. I'm going to look at channels. I'm going to look at messaging. I'm also going to keep these in mind. This piece here, so earned traffic in the form of partnerships, is by far the highest ROI potential. Let me give you a quick anecdote. This was someone I call elite, and this was somebody I saw. They were in the high level ecosystem. They were making, they were freelancing. I think they were making about 20K per month. He ran through this process. He found someone else who had an enormous audience, and he built the relationship. They had an enormous audience. He built the relationship. He did this. He considered the win for them. And so, and I'll talk through the examples. Some practical examples. Oh, actually, maybe I got it. It's on the next slide here. So before we get to this, I'll just tell you the story. He created a partnership. Ultimately, he created a partnership with someone who had a huge audience. Here was a technical integrator, young kid, freelancing. And in the first month, they did over $500,000. And his deal was 50-50. So he went from 20K to 250K being his take per month on a white label SaaS offering. Why? Because of a partnership. Now, I'm telling you, this is elite. This is, no exception. It'd be like if I knew, I do not, but if I had some sort of connection with the Kardashians and I could get the Kardashians to refer my white label SaaS, you better believe I'm very confident I would do at least $500,000 the first month. Why? Not because my tool was any better. It's the same tool we're all using here, but because of the relationships, the partnerships that I created is exceptional. It's elite. And so I tell you this to say, like, this is an elite strategy, but I've seen this practically played out in life-changing numbers to go from, like I said, freelancing, not some of us are like 20K, that'd be a phenomenal map, but like he had skill, he developed it, he knew what he was doing there. He was a little bit more introverted, but found someone who had a huge audience, considered the win for them, found a way to make themselves a priority. And I got in 2 slides, I'll show you, ways to do this, and then had an easy ask to start. Ultimately, it landed him a 50-50 partnership where they drove a ton of traffic and he just got to keep doing what he loved. And basically, like, he was doing the same work that he loved all the time and got paid 10 times as much to do it. Life-changing money, like life-changing impact there. And a partnership can do that. And so let's go some practical examples of easy asks is what I want to give you here. Podcasts, very easy ask. You were like, why do podcasts work as an easy ask? Because status is worth more than money. Like I'll give you another example. If you tell someone, you got to do the work beforehand. 1, start a podcast. Why not? First, you got to do the podcast, because now if you're going, depending on how many levels up you're trying to get to them, they're going to gut check and be like, do they have a podcast? Have they been consistent with it, right? If you want to be in the top 1% of podcasters, you want to be an elite podcaster, all you got to do is do 10 podcasts. 10 podcasts put you in the top 1% of podcasts, I believe, unless it's less than
And
50.
And you're not talking about episodes. You're talking about
No, episodes. I mean,
branded.
episodes.
Oh, episodes.
Literally 10 episodes of one
Wow.
podcast put you in the 1% of podcasts. So, I mean, and I know I've seen like big folks where they're like if who did I say this? Like Dean Graciosi's example. If he's doing like a tour and doing a podcast tour, I think the threshold there is like 60 or 100 podcasts. Like he wants to make sure like the people that he's doing it, like they've done at least 100 podcasts. But I mean, those are big names. You want to get like big name folks. I would say, similar like big authors, the threshold goes higher, but it's on your reps. Can you put in the reps? You could publish out a podcast a day for the next 100 days, and you'd be in like the 0.001% of podcasters and have authority and establishment. Why? Just because you're willing to do what others can't or won't. Podcast is a phenomenal first step ask because it elevates status. To them, it's like they get to be in front of your audience. You may be like, I don't even have an audience. It's just my mom that listens to the podcast. They don't know that podcasts are also magical because they do not publicly report the visibility. Like if you have a YouTube channel, people can see, he's got 10 subscribers. You have a podcast, they're like, I don't know, maybe he's got 1 million listeners. Like it's all privately reported. It's just an interesting phenomenon. And so podcasts are one of those hacks where if you want to get a bigger name to have a conversation with you, put in the work, create a podcast. It's an easy ask. Be the bonus. What do I mean by this? If you find someone who like you compliment them perfectly, the ask can be, can I give a freebie to your audience? Could I just give free value to your audience? Like just be the bonus on something they're already doing. Why is this good and valuable for them? I mean, it's a little bit of like these, like it's actually building their relationships with their customers. You're making them look better. If I'm just going to be the bonus in what you're doing over there, I'm saying, like, hey, would you mind if I just, was a bonus to your entire audience there? It's an easy ask. And this might be, maybe it's a phase two. Don't make it that first ask. First ask, like if I want to have them on the podcast, I ask them, hey, do you have a podcast? Maybe they say yes, maybe they say no. Either way, you follow up with like, would you ever be interested in being on my podcast? I'm saying that is a 1-2 punch that works time and time and time again. Post collaboration. This is an example. Practical things. I mean, it's public. It's there. But so you guys know Joel Kaplan. I think he was the first person to do a workshop in this format with High Level. I've been able to do awesome partnerships with Joel, built up the relationship, and before I was doing like really serious in social media, he was very serious in social media. We did a post collaboration. Really, it's just like I post it and then they accept it. So it kind of shows up on both channels there. And it's still one of our most viewed reels. Like that's exposure, that's eyeballs. And it's because, and like the ask was a post collaboration. Like that's a very low ask if you've done the work to build up the relationship there. And so, just an example, and it can be in different spaces where maybe there's a weakness you have. Like for me at the time, like I forget what, 2,000 followers, it's been a work up to 30,000, right? It didn't just happen overnight. And so I think now he's still got 400,000 followers or whatever it is. So he's very active, has probably a little bit younger audience than I do there. And so post collaboration was a easy win there. Affiliate. This is top tier. So I'm saying this is a practical example. Don't come out of the gate with this. Work up to it. Build value for them. Consider the win for them. But you can get to a point where people will actively send you prospects. And then in return, you give them a cut of whatever they're sending there. And I told you that example from that young high leveler, that was ultimately where the relationship became. And he did a 50-50 deal. He made it a no-brainer, a win-win. But the reach and the transformation of his life and world was like dramatic. And so it was
Yeah.
a win, but he had to put in the work beforehand before he
Yeah.
could make that ask. He couldn't just float it out.
Yeah, lot of entrepreneurs in the beginning when they start their business, they compare everything to like an apple. Like, ooh, let me figure out this big thing that I'm gonna have, right? And they don't realize that a small little bite out of a watermelon is better than a full grape by yourself,
So true.
right?
Yeah.
So it's much better to collaborate with competitors, partners, and anybody that's in the world that you play in the sandbox versus go to battle by yourself, right? Like today, my mind is like, okay, how do we partner up with everybody at HubSpot or ClickFunnels or Active Campaign or like they're all serving our customers too. Like that's the mentality I know we all have, right? And that's a whole different shift of how to think versus ooh, let me battle against, everybody in my ecosystem. And it comes back to what you said on partnerships and how you look at it. Because if you go in with that kind of a motive out of the gate, then you end up in a different like island. You end up in a different trajectory in the relationship. Like you and Joel collaborating together, it's a perfect example. You could have had a whole different outcome versus what you have now, and that's just part of it. It comes with maturity, I guess, as an entrepreneur. But hopefully that makes sense. It's better to have a little portion of a watermelon that you're sharing with a whole group of people because you have a family of people that you're doing life with in general versus small grape all by yourself thinking that you're going to be the next Apple.
Yeah. And so I've seen some questions. So I want to clarify
Yeah.
this because I realize there's heavy weight in the word partnership. So this is I I should admit, like people bring different contexts here.
Yeah.
I'm for the purposes of this, if we're thinking of potential referral partners, it's a scale. So affiliate, something like that's a deeper relationship. Call it like a dedicated exclusive affiliate. You look at like what High Level does right now with Billie Jean. That is a top tier partnership where Billy's majority focus is on this. He's speaking at the events. He champions it. He does the workshops. He actually, shut down his white label version of High Level to move into this deep committed partnership. for our purposes, I'm thinking this on the scale of potential referrals, just like audience. We're talking traffic, different sources of traffic, right? So if I show up on somebody else's podcast, like, okay, that's like being partners in like a Friday night volleyball league. Like, it's like, okay, we're just playing 2v2 volleyball. And so for this one game, we're playing on the same team. We're not married. We're not in the league together. It's just like a pop-up show together. We're working together. We're collaborating. We're building the relationship. Can those things develop over time? Like, yeah, absolutely. And I would say that's probably how it went with those other deeper, partnerships is the relationships grow. So don't come out of the bat thinking I need to find an exclusive, all in, commit to them like marriage right away. I actually think those asks really don't work. And that's where people say, like, I've tried it and it didn't work. It's because you asked too much from it. And so even on small areas, like we've had folks who they were willing to like be part of a seasonal promotion. I, and think of it like the pyramid of impact here as well. You're gonna have way more folks on the bottom here willing to like let you be a bonus. If I went to like all of you, I mean, I'm not saying you have my addressable audience here, but if I went around, I just say, hey, would you mind? I've got this course. It's phenomenal. It's actually unrelated to anything that I sell. It's just about traffic. Like, I don't teach people this. And here's my traffic course. If you want, you could have it free. Your people could have it for free. And they look at it and like, this is incredible. This is gold. This is amazing, Matt. Like, thank you. Yes, I'll let you put your course in as a bonus for my stuff for free, right? Now, you'd be asking like, well, what's the win for me? Well, I'm trusting that one, maybe the win is the relationship grows. I'm just planting a seed to say right now, the win is that next time when I come back and I'd say like, hey, would you want to maybe, do a cross promotional thing, email your list about an event we're doing or something like that? Or maybe I'm like, hey, would you want to speak at a summit we're putting on? Things like that. Those can be wins from those relationships. And it can be small steps. It also can be, do you want to affiliate my stuff, right? And so whatever it is, or say the exposure, audience, eyeballs, traffic, right? If there are people going through life, traffic doesn't disappear, it just shifts. And so if there's eyeballs going there, I learned this more and more. The more you do it, the kind of wider and wider a net you want to like cast. And it's not a bad thing because if you're really good at that bridge, it doesn't matter if I tell a room of non-ideal prospects what I do. If my bridge is good, their minds will be thinking, who should I connect Matt to? And I've done this. I've done these exact engagements where I will go out, I will deliver a ton of value to people that I know have no business buying anything that I sell. But why would I do it? Because I want to build a relationship with this other person for whatever reason. Like I just value them and their time and their energy. And I trust and know that this message can amplify and can go keep on going forward there because I've worked so much on the bridge because I put in the reps. So when I start to describe the problems that my ideal prospects face and how I solve them, people immediately pull, examples to their mind. And so referrals kind of come out of that. So it's
Yeah.
secondary, but it's a great example here. So on, we went through organic, we went through paid, we went through earned. This is really, I realized I had more slides today. I think I had it any other day, but I think we cruised through it because of all the stuff going on there. So I have a few finishing thoughts. I want to make sure there were no questions there. We clarified the
Yeah.
partnership piece of it.
Yeah.
Um,
So if you're open to it, Matt, we could do a Q&A with people put comments in the streaming if you're down for it. Maybe spend
let's do
15
it.
minutes.
I mean, we
Um,
have time, and I'm here
yeah,
for it. So if you guys have Q&A, call this a
yeah,
bonus for our time together. I was reminding you of the best feeling. I'll give you this, and we'll open it to Q&A. I said it yesterday. Just keep it in your mind. There is a potential future out there. Like these elite folks know it to be true. Where folks they never met before, find them, experience value from them, go so far as to give them their credit card, keep paying them month after month, and then they just pop up in their life to say, thank you for letting me be a subscriber. That experience is the best feeling when your day is not made or ruined by a singular client, but instead the compound effect of all these small little boring pieces of work, a ton of concentrated effort in the strategically right direction, just really builds up and edifies the entire ecosystem. And that's what
yeah,
I love about high levels. It makes the businesses we serve better, and it actually helps their customers as well.
yeah.
I'll leave this up while we do some Q&A.
Yep.
And
Can you also talk about the trial that
Oh
we
yeah,
have provided?
actually
Yeah,
I'll go
yeah.
here. This is a better one to leave
Forgot,
off.
I
So
forget about
no, this is good. If you
that.
guys don't have high level, some people are asking like, do you have high level? Or if you're not using SaaS mode, which I'm absolutely biased towards because this is to do this in its full extent. That's why it exists. It makes this process so simple. No judgment. If you're in the baby steps, like take action on, like do the things I challenge you over the last 3 days, you will get quick to being like, I need to turn on SaaS mode. So it'll happen naturally if you're not there. But if you're not using a high level, we have a bonus for you, which is everything we tore down yesterday. You get this with lifetime updates. I have a process now where you can, it's going to be delivered in like a sheet. So you have it there. And then we'll keep it up to date as updates happen because we do refresh probably monthly or quarterly. And so you've got access to all the things we covered there. And even if we add more, if I identify, like I said, I go through and I'm like, man, this one's no longer top 10. Someone else is doing it better. You get access to that. So you get to have, kind of like the live feedback loop of as things grow and shift in time, you have the pulse on it, access to that. And so that's just, that's the link right there. GoHighLevel.com/Matt Deseno offer. And yeah, just shout out to High Level for putting
Awesome.
this on, and let's open it up for some questions.
Yeah, man, I often forget that we do need to tell people about high level and a trial, so it was a good reminder um, just to make sure people have some collaterals they can take advantage of and things like that. By the way, Matt, thank you for taking 3 days of your valuable time, sharing so much and just sharing, some of the good, bad, and the ugly, and really some practical things that everybody can take away and apply, whether they're in the beginning stages or advanced stages, it doesn't matter. We definitely appreciate it. So, those of you that have questions, what I want to make sure and remind you is make sure it's relevant to what we talked about as far as topics are concerned. So, between day one, day two, and day three, what I want to do is, first of all, give us a one in the chat if you got anything out of these 3 days. We spent a lot of resources and time, effort, and our teams, both sides, were just working really hard to make sure this whole thing got delivered. So give us a one in the chat or say thank you or whatever, just an expression of gratitude to all of our teams, at least, if you don't mind. And then what we will do is put together, let's see, 12:33. We can maybe even go 20 minutes if you have time, Matt. Um,
Yeah,
and we'll go through rapid fire. So I'll go ahead and see the questions here. So tell us what your questions are, and I'll call these out, Matt. And you take your time and
yeah,
address them as you best wish. Um, let's see. I'm waiting for the first question in the comments. Shout out to Dar. Dar's been watching all 3 days, I guess, or he's in Oklahoma somewhere.
Dar's a rock
Let's
star.
see. Yes. Okay, so Joshua is asking, Joshua says, what KPIs do you focus on when running traffic? So let's rapid fire on all these.
Yeah. Um, so if we're running traffic, we're looking at CPM. That's just like the cost of attention there. We're considering CPL, cost per lead, and then usually like backtracking of cost to acquire a subscriber. Is that like the cast? Those are the three big ones. I understand there's a time balance there. Some people look at like click-through rates and stuff like that. Ultimately, those are the leading to the lagging. But if we're in an acceptable cost per lead and cost to acquire a customer, we're scaling that. The ratio I gave you on day one was LTV to CAC. That's what tells you whether you can go harder on it or go worse. LTV is a net of LTV. And basically, I think it's like if you're above 4 or 5, 5-to-1 ratio there, you can keep going. If you start to slip below that, it probably means the system isn't actually healthy there. And so from a paid traffic, cost of attention, that CPM, cost per lead, like are strangers turning into prospects, and then cost per subscriber, which is our prospects turning into subscribers. Oh, Paulson, you muted yourself. Hopefully it wasn't me.
Oh, sorry. It was me. It was me. Dennis brought up a good point here. He said, Matt, you showed us almost 900 plus things to do, but where do I focus if I'm starting out or if, where do I start? Where's my starting
Yeah.
point
If
after I know all these things?
I should have done a recap, but like the challenge is your starting point. Like, so I'll do it right now for you. So this is good. Day one, I said, share your bridge. Like go on social media and share your bridge. I kind of give you a sub challenge there. If you have a subscriber right now, get a testimonial, preferably video testimonial. Set up that call, run that framework. So share your bridge on social media, Get those testimonials. Yesterday, I told you like no excuses. Do the workshop, like teach. And like the process there was like, I'm going to pick a day, say Friday. I'm going to take that landing page. I'm going to use Matt's Captain Hook ChatGPT, thing to get the words down on the page. And I'm going to just put traffic to it any which way I can to see if people want to go there. And then if you run that process, I think that's going to be valuable for you. Today, my challenge was DM 5 people per day. So these can work well together. Share my bridge so you know that bridge. Get the testimonial. Like if you have a customer, that's going to be an invaluable asset for you. Put together this workshop, this minimum viable prototype where you're only allowed to do really it's a landing page that has it. Let's imagine you got this training, right? You've got the workshop and you're like, Matt, I don't have any traffic. Go DM 5 of your ideal prospects, be social with them, be like, hey, I'm actually putting on a free training. If you think it'd be valuable, here's the link. Like, if you could do that, I promise you, you will you will be surprised with the amount of impact that it gives you and the confidence. And I'll give you this piece about it too, is I've just seen motivation comes after action. If you don't feel motivated, like you know what to do. I told you before, you just want to recap. I'm telling you now, you may not feel motivated. I'm going to encourage you. Motivation comes after action. Take the action. The feedback loop of these action steps will all of a sudden give you the motivation. And I know it's counterintuitive. I know it feels like that can't be right, Matt. But if you could just trust me, this is how it works. And so those were like the 4 challenges I gave you. I would do it in that order.
I love that. Matt, what is the difference between the regular high level 297 plan and SaaS mode?
That's great. So SaaS mode, specifically, it gives you, well, for folks that are on like running our stuff with HL Pro Tools, it gives you access to their full API. So there's a lot of cool things that we've built out that like you can do with SaaS mode. The big thing is the SaaS configurator, rebuilding sort of stuff. So we think of like SaaS, what does that mean? Like I'm giving people a tool. I give you examples like this is literally the tool already exists. It is a valuable thing to be a connector of that tool. The process where you can literally have them actually, you know what? I'm going to give you an extra link. I got more free stuff for you. So this is a good question. And I'm like, you know what? No excuses. I have another free snapshot for you and a whole process that we'll run through. I wasn't planning
Nice.
on this, but why not? So here, let me share my screen again, and I'll get this link in the chat here. I host I call it a Kick SaaS setup with Matt. Um, the next one is Tuesday, and I will give you our SaaS snapshots. I'll post it in the comments over here. And I walk you through the SaaS configurator. I literally do this process for you. So I tell folks like homework, like step 1 here, you need to have an high level account and SaaS mode to take full advantage of the SaaS configurator, but actually host this call, walk through it live with you to my goal of the call. And I promise this is going to happen at the end of the call. You will be able to take someone's money and they will get credentials. They will be set up, like everything will be working for them. And so if you're trying to do that farmer method I told you about on day 1, and you're like, I get the idea of the farmer method, Matt, but like, how do I like actually do it? This will get like, this is nuts and bolts. I host this personally. I say,
What was the link again?
it's in the chat. It's hlprotos.com
Oh,
forward
okay,
slash
okay, okay.
free dash snapshots.
Okay.
I think I posted it in there. So Jordan, you should have it. I posted in the Facebook chat there. So you've got that as well. That's a great question, and I'm happy to offer that to you all. I mean, so there's sort of like a little bit of a capacity constraint there where we can do it well for folks. So call it first come, first served. And but if you're in that place trying to just get it figured out, I'm here for you.
Love it. Let's see here. Someone says, can you help me understand how APIs and integrations work with high level? That's a
This is the kind of
loaded
stuff.
question.
It is. This is the kind of stuff we do with HL Pro Tools. So I'm not trying to
Okay.
shamelessly plug here, but like if I mean, I could start to get into right now. Like there's 2 versions of the API. If you're doing the modern one, we got to teach this stuff about OAuth and stuff like that. We don't have enough time to get into that, but that is, I don't know if we got full background. That's my world. That's what I geek out on. So
Yeah.
absolutely can help in that
Yeah.
space and in that
Some
endeavor. But it's
someone
geeky.
Yeah, Cindy says, "Dang guys, awesome give. I spent $1,000 for this, so don't miss out on what Matt's giving away." So hopefully, Cindy, we appreciate you being an advocate here. Um, let's see. Yeah, there you go. hlprotools.com/free-snapshot. Let's see. Um, what
Someone's
is
asking, Matt, will you come on my podcast? And I told you I live this stuff out. The answer is almost certainly yes. Just DM me. So DM me on Instagram. That's where you can get the real me. And yeah, I love coming on podcasts. Like I told you this works, and like, yeah, it works.
Yeah, so a lot of the questions that I'm seeing now are around the billing and the plans and stuff like that. But what I want to do is take us back to the workshop. Matt, if you don't mind, take the next like 2, 3 minutes. Give us a recap of day one, two, and three, and close us out if you don't mind.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So the day one, yeah, to go back, we ran through those foundations. I literally call it like the foundation, that flywheel that's helpful to understand, so you know you're filling in the gaps in the right places. Talk through the bridge concept. It's critical. I think it's one of the muscles you want to flex the most because it happens in everyday life. Someone asks, like, what do you do? And essentially, even when you're trying to get content out there, or trying to put traffic, like get in front of traffic, they're all wondering, what do you do? How you answer that question of what do you do determines whether people start sending you customers or people immediately forget that you exist the second you stop talking to them. And so we want to be really great at that. We talked through some SaaS KPIs, the metrics that I think you should consider. And I we gave some advanced ones there, but so I got everything at all stages, a level 1, level 2, level 3. And then I actually give you a bonus of my farmer playbook. This is one where you're new and getting started. And I think of it as like, I want to save you from starving. I don't want you to like go out there and be like, I'm going to, free stroke across like the ocean and we go from California to Hawaii and drown out there because you just tried too hard of a task. And so my like the farmer playbook right there is the one thing where I say, if you just do this, I feel more confident you won't starve while you're out there trying to like attempt advanced elite techniques. Day 2, it was full. We went through the top 10 actual blueprints of stuff here. We had I've got the acronyms in front of me. We did on-demand demo funnel, the $1 trial, the tiny SaaS offer, the challenge funnel, the authority funnel, our minimum viable prototype. Went deep on that one. I go back, rewatch that, put that into action. I give you extra free stuff about that. We did our one-time payment, our OTP example on that, selling templates, stuff like that. The DM funnel, another easy one. You can do it inside of high level. All it requires is like you have an Instagram account and a high level account. The group demo funnel, and then the collaboration funnel. I also, that's what got up on the screen right here. Those funnels, the ones that are actually funnels, I'm giving you the templates to just shortcut this process, give you no excuses, get it out there and working. And so that was day 2. And then day 3, we went over traffic. Hopefully you feel like you got a better understanding of maybe how you can fill in some gaps here. We focused on the, our bot traffic, the stuff we get paid for, paid traffic, organic traffic, and earned traffic. Ultimately, I want to move all of those into the owned category. But if you want more strangers, can't get more strangers from owned category. And so it's going to be paid, it's going to be organic, or it's going to be earned. And on the paid, gave you some tips there. On the organic, we, hopefully gave you a robust structure to do incredible organic content. You put in the effort one time, it pays you dividends month after month. It becomes a valuable feedback loop for you just to continue to refine your bridge and refine just an incredible introduction experience for your brand. And then on, some of the earned stuff, went a little deep into partnerships and hopefully gave you a well-rounded look at not just how other folks are doing it, but how you could put some of these things into action. And I'll end it with those challenges. Publicly share your bridge. Publicly share your bridge. Get testimonials from whoever currently pays you, if you have anyone. So if you can do that one, start on that minimum viable prototype of a workshop. I think everyone can do it. It's 5 out of 5 tacos in my world. And then today, let's get that content. Like, let's get it. That actually wasn't a challenge. I think you should do it. I really, that's good. My challenge, if you don't want to do the content, just do the DMs. Go be social on social media. Find 5 people per day. Start tracking yourself. Did I do it? Did I do it when I didn't feel like doing it? Because that's another game that I've started to play. Is sometimes these things don't get easier. Sometimes you just don't want to do it. But I started keeping tally of the moments where I didn't want to do it and I still pushed through it. I told you earlier, like I sauna most mornings. At a minute 15, I want to quit. So my tradition now is I take a photo when I want to quit. I log those moments of I wanted to quit, but I didn't. That's what I'm taking tally of. I'm not trying to get to a point where it doesn't feel like hard work. I'm just trying to develop the kind of character, the kind of person where the future version of myself that I want to be true. I told you guys I want my kids, I want to raise kind and confident human beings who want to spend time with me and they no longer have to. I also want to create $1 billion in net worth, but I want to keep 100 million for myself because I know my dream has to be big enough to hold my team's dreams. Those things, I imagine that future, and I'm like, that future Matt did this stuff. So for you, I encourage you do that. Like you being you is your greatest asset. Those are your dreams that are going to align yourself to this, and it's your character that you're developing. And so, yeah, thanks for showing up and being here. And if you aren't in high level, please take this just go to gohighlevel.com. Like just get started. This is a rare life changing software and community, and just grateful to be part of it.
I love it. Well, Matt, I just want to say thank you from a personal level and our team and everybody at high level. You don't have to do what you did, and we know that. So you spent 3 days, really going behind the scenes of tons of things that you've seen serving some of the biggest brands in our world as well. So we appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you. Right? I mean, I'm assuming you're coming to the big conference at the
We
summit.
we are. This is the first time ever we're a sponsor. I
Okay. All
High
right.
Levels never let anybody sponsor the summit before, and we built up such a relationship. So HL Pro Tools is sponsoring the
Nice.
summit, and actually, I know if you can't go, shout out about the summit. You should be at the summit. This is an incredible thing. I know there's small capacity, so here's my other guarantee to you: if you're in a place where you can't go to the summit for whatever reason, or it sells out tickets, I me and my team, we do a ton of documentation in the process. So if you want behind the scenes of the summit, another reason to come find me on social media or just get in our world because I'll be there interviewing Paulson. I
Yeah.
interview Chase. I interview everybody just to give you as much insight as you can, even if you're not there, to make you feel like you're still part of it.
Yeah.
It's an awesome time. If you can't be there, buy a ticket. You should be there. It's
Yeah.
mark it on your calendar.
It is definitely one of the best marketing oriented events that you will find. And I'm not saying this because I'm part of the high level family. I've been to every conference you can think of before I came to high level. So I can tell you firsthand, it is a place of contribution and servant leadership in my mind because high level high levelers in general are a group of collaborators. Other conferences I've been to, the environment and the energy was like, oh, I'm gonna compete. I'm gonna, hack this or hack that or go through this. Like in the high level world, the idea is let me share what's working and I'm gonna learn from everybody else. And that's the culture that we have. So you definitely want to be part of it. It is small by design, less than 1,000 people, small little hotel in the middle of downtown. I think this might be our last year there. We may be moving into a bigger place. But if you haven't had a chance to buy those tickets, I promise you it's gonna sell out really quickly. I think we have a reveal webinar or something. We did it maybe last week or next week or something like that. As soon as that happens, I promise you, I'll be very surprised if tickets are even left. But take advantage of it. Matt, thank you again. For those of you that are watching the replays, tell us that you're watching it on the replays. It's available on YouTube, all the social channels, and the 30-day trial offer will expire. So end of this week, we will cut it off, and you can still take advantage of all of it with Matt's affiliate link directly, but maybe not all the collaterals are all associated and things like that. So you definitely want to take advantage of it now. But either way, Matt, thank you again.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye for now.